And we are involved in civil society networking. We promise the Liberian people that our meaningful contribution will not just be in government. We have been trying to be good citizens outside of government. That's exactly what we've been doing.
So, you care to drill us through some of the activities you've been handling while staying outside of government?
Well, of late, we dealt sufficiently with the issue of the Liberianization law. You are aware we have an investment act that sets aside certain businesses to be owned and operated exclusively by Liberians.
Yeah.
There's a long list of them. We wrote the legislature.
There about 26.
26.
Yeah.
We wrote the legislature. We met with the speaker and one or two other influential members of both the House and the Senate and tried to push that we modify the law to prevent people from fronting for foreigners, and we also enforce whatever aspect of the law that we think have not been properly enforced. So we've been very busy with promoting the Liberianization policy and the Liberianization law. We've also been dealing with our kids that are currently taking the WIAC exams.
Okay.
You are aware we put up some 150,000 Liberian dollars for 4 students in 4 different categories that will tap their own levels, like the 12th graders, the 9th graders, the 6th graders, and the 3rd graders. So the people actually there will push forward this pledge. And of course, right after the results are given, we'll give the cash to them to motivate our students. Because a recent study showed that some of the kids in Ghana and Nigeria, Sierra Leone, are doing better on the aggregate performance than the Liberian students. Of course, it's because of the difficulties we have here and what our students are going through. But I mean, you just asked for some of the things we've been doing. There's a whole list of them, and we'll continue to elaborate as we move forward.
Okay, so now speaking on the issue of the Liberalization law, before we just get to the meat of today's discussion, speaking on the issue of the Liberalization law, I mean, what do you think might be the eventual impact should that law be fully enforced?
Well, the Liberalization law is not just strange to Liberia. Even in the United States, they got some commercial protection for American-owned businesses. That's the case in Nigeria, in Ghana, in many countries, around Africa. For Ghana, is extremely enforced. There are certain businesses that foreigners cannot do there, and you don't dare put your money there.
Okay.
In Liberia, we just have about 17 to 26.
2 Chinese were recently deported to China from Ghana because they got involved with
businesses set aside for Liberians, for Ghanaians.
Yeah.
So for Liberia, we're kind of flexible. And the reason why I wrote the lawmakers is because I read the Investment Act of 2016 and realized this is 2011 or 2016, somewhere there, and realized that 2016, and realized that there are loopholes in the laws, and people could front. There's something called fronting. Yeah, people could register the business in their name and then allow foreigners to operate the business and get the profit. So the loophole in the law is why we try to appeal to our lawmakers to amend. But the Capitol building, the folks up there, sometimes they are very slow. It will take you many months to persuade them into doing something. But we're still working with them.
What does that mean? What's the recommendation in
that we review the Investment Act, we review the Liberalization law, and insert specific clauses that will prevent or prohibit people from registering businesses in their names and then turning the businesses over to foreigners. This is the way it is.
It's a punitive measure recommended.
Yeah, punitive. Okay. Yeah, punitive. Strong one too.
Okay.
Like you have some of the businesses set aside for Liberia, including sand mining, this thing about taxi driving, a lot of things, a long list of them. Ice cream making, ice, cold water, block making. Fine, you are expert in that. So all those businesses are set aside for Liberians. So the law got a loophole. The law is vague. What I could do if I want to be a bad citizen is that I will register the business in Rufus Neufville name. Then I turn the article on incorporation over to one Japanese or Korean, what kind of man.
Sure.
So whenever the commerce inspectors or the labor people, whatever, go to inspect, of course they will ask for the business registration instrument. And that instrument will show that the business is registered and owned by Liberians. But the actuality is Liberians have no control over the bank accounts. They got no control over the finances of the business. It's totally owned and operated by foreigners.
But I think
they want to make the law such that there will be specific clauses indicating that if the business is set aside for Liberian, the account of that business must be exclusively, in the name of that Liberian.
In whose name the business?
In whose name the business, where all his next of kin or his family or whatever it may be. But I cannot register the business as Rufus Neufville. Then the man,
who controls the business account
is a Korean man. So that's a loophole in the law. So we wrote the law, make a little gentlemen, let's look at the law. Laws are always modified depending on the reality of the day. The people who framed that law, they didn't think that would be that dubious. Some of us would be, but of course some people are. So we are appealing to the lawmakers, and we continue to appeal to them to please reintroduce that law for debate. Call in experts, call in people with expertise in economics, in accounting, in commercial law, and let them redraft the law to close all the little openings, because the president promised that we will not be spectators in our own economy. And all the pressure on government, because people think that the best way you can get bread is by being in government. You will see 2023, some of the districts will have more than 50 candidates, because a lot of young people believe now that, I can be a lawmaker, it's a shortcut to achieving my thing. But if you have a strong private sector, if you can become a millionaire without knowing the president or the chief justice or the speaker, people will rush to one private sector.
I can understand your passion, but you seem overly optimistic that this is going to happen. And looking at the history of this law, it was first passed in 1975 when there were only 12 listed items. In 1999, it was amended under the presidency of President Charles Gange Taylor, and increasing it from 12 to 26 businesses that only Liberians are supposed to do. Looking at the length of time this law has existed for, and Liberia hasn't been able to enforce it as a country. Do you think at this point you have a prepared legislature or a ready government to enforce the liberalization law? You sound too optimistic. Why I remain very doubtful of that.
Yeah, because civil society has a role, and it also includes the media. We all have roles. The fact that you allow me at Joy FM today without paying a dime, it suggests that you are making sacrifices and you have a role. If we come together and push our lawmakers and the agents of the executive branch, we can have this law modified and enforced. I'm emphasizing on the lawmaker because the law as it is, the enforcement is kind of complex. That's why you see we're emphasizing on the lawmakers instead of the executive. So once we reintroduce the law and get in some experts from the Law Reform Commission and close all the little things, you can make law, I can make law, we'll have the lawmakers that should make law. So all we can do is to petition and prevail on them that they take the liberalization law. Look, pressure will come down on politicians if people can find bread other than politics. It's becoming more apparent that the most effective way to find bread now that political means. So it's not good for our country.
Let's assume that today the law is restructured, all of the loopholes are closed up, and then only Liberians are allowed to do these businesses. The next thing that comes into play is access to capital. Liberians do not have access to capital. So that entire, let's say for same man in the entire sector could break down because they do not have the money to venture into that area.
Of course, they will have to go to the banking sector again.
How do they get it?
Regulated by the Central Bank of Liberia to qualify Liberians for loan. Some of the rich business people you see in Liberia today, the foreigners that are millionaires in Liberia, some of them came to Liberia with $1,000, $2,000.
Of course.
I don't want to call names here. They got loan from the banks and they turned to millionaires regular. I mean, I'm not advocating for myself because I'm not a businessman. I'm an advocate. I don't have any business register. So there's not a personal argument, but it's an argument for society. Now, if you give loan to Liberian business people, they will develop and they will fill in the gap. How
do you do that? Because most of the banks are calling for very huge collateral and they cannot afford it. As a result, it becomes the basis for denial.
The government could intervene and guarantee some of the loans to some of the business people. If the government intervenes, the commercial bank will give the loan. So the government should intervene. And we are not saying people should take loan and don't pay, because then it's also dangerous for the economy, bad for the economy. But we have to find a way around the enforcement of the liberalization law. No, my brother, go to Ghana now. Go and open your shop in a community. If you get 5 Ghanaians buying from you, then you're strong. But yeah, we buy from the Fulans, from the other people from Guinea and all over Africa, the foreigners, the Asians, we buy from them. They are specifically concerned about giving money to their own people. So if you get 4 Ghanaian men selling rubber dishes, you go open your rubber dishes shop, no people will get rich before you even get your first inventory, or first overturn of your inventory. So it's all about being nationalistic, all about being patriotic. If you see Keno, a box of Keno in the weather market, don't go to the store to buy it. If the old lady behind your house selling mosquito coil. Why you want to go Broad Street to buy mosquito coil?
What is lacking in our country.
Why are we not buying from our own people?
And so
this is a reason for political tension in the country, because money is being concentrated in one direction. About all the honey flying, where the honey, where you can find, how you call it, say, all the honey bees flying, where you can find the honeycomb or whatever you call it. So the fact of the matter is, this government can achieve a lot. But just say, look, gentlemen, everybody wear the iron jacket. On liberalization, they all 1 year will succeed. We don't succeed in anything. Okay. And people will begin to grow, people will begin to develop. And as we go forward, we'll look at other areas, that Liberian get involved. We to have the Public Procurement Concession Commission here to regulate the awarding of government contracts. So if a Liberian company can face this sidewall, why you want to give it to a non-Liberian?
The commission has been seen as dormant for a period now, because every time we have this issue of contract awarding, it has got a problem, and so to a large extent, we have not seen the Public Procurement Concession Commission being active.
Yes, well, I mean, we have to ensure that they are active. We have to, use the press, use whatever means we can. We have to push them to be active, because that commission is very important in the fight against corruption. Another importance of that commission is to make sure that few people don't have all the opportunities in the country. That you don't have one man registering a company and getting all the government contracts. You have to find a way for private sector to be independent. Look, let me just say that before we run over to you.
Yeah.
We move turbo from power on ground, or few people getting everything and the other people suffering corruption. And how we move turbo?
Awesome.
Samuel Doe, we said few people getting everything, other people suffering. Charles Taylor, the law people said the country suffering, few people. Every time there's a revolution in the country, there's one song that the revolutionaries can sing. And we can't overlook that song. That song is opportunities are not given across the board. People in power get it. People out of power don't get it. Now, the Public Procurement Concession Commission is very important. If this government can utilize that commission, in other words, for our ordinary people to understand, it is that commission that should divide government contracts on certain standards, on certain requirements. In the process of dividing government contracts, if John Brown gets 10 kilometers of road, you allow Peter to get 5 kilometers of road. You allow or Emmanuel to get 3 kilometers of road. If John Brown gets all the road contracts, the other road companies will not have job, that they could even drive their employees. So how you shuffle it like a card, how you make the PPCC effective will determine how you distribute wealth in the country.
That campaign just could not yield result, because from the inception of this government, she was clear that the PPCC is a hindrance to government's operation as far as development is concerned. To a large extent, to that particular statement today, the PPCC, we can fairly say that it has become a washout commission where it conducts washout continuously.
The PPCC is still there. No one has repealed the act. The agency is still there. So for as long as you legally exist, we can hold you to account for your function. So I don't know who said it would not work. If the government never wanted the PPCC, they would move the legislature to repeal the act. But the fact that the PPCC is still there, I mean, what else can you do as a media?
But there were attempts to make the PPCC work to the will and pleasure. I mean, at the will and pleasure of the president.
The commissioners cannot be fired by the president. Look, those commissions are established with tenure. There is a rationale of the tenure. I was a lawmaker when we instituted some of those commissions. There is a rationale for tenure. When they give you tenure, they insist that you be independent. That's it. Because one reason of not being independent is that they will sack you. More public officials don't be you scared before they sack you. So we say, okay, let's make these people immune. The LACC, the PPCC, the GAC, the Governance Commission, the GC, all these people, the Human Rights Commission, President can get on and sack them. So the fact that they have this employment immunity over a particular span of time means that they are compelled to be independent.
They are. That is what
they should be more independent than the ministers. Don't blame the minister. The ministers are the winning pleasure of the president. And I'm not talking about President George. I mean the presidency. For as long as it could be John Brown, Peter, anybody. We're talking about the presidency. So we try to take this commission, because when we passed the act creating this commission, we did not even, no one knew George Brown would be president or Elliot or whoever. They were just laws for society. So we passed the law. We said, look, these laws, in fact, at that time, were going towards HIPIC. To waive the
and these were preconditions.
These were smart, Ben. These are preconditions that before we waive your debt, the $4 billion Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government waive, before we waive your debt, there are certain benchmarks you must meet. Procurement must be away from politicians. so that Rufus Neufville is not president tomorrow, then only children get government contract. So we take it from politicians. Now, if you are appointed to those commissions and you're still scary that they will sack you, then I don't know where will you help your country.
So one thing that plays in that particular factor is that the government unwillingness to make the commission function as far as funding is concerned. That's one factor of.
That's one way. Sometimes some people play with the commission, don't give them enough funding. But recently, President sent a law to the House giving more power to the LACC.
Yeah, I think giving the full prosecutorial power.
Prosecutorial power. So that's a good step, in the fight against corruption. Because the original law did not give them the power. They were like a two-man bulldog. But this government under President said, look, you can prosecute. So at least that's one of the good things we can point to. So you need to continue to empower them legally and financially, because sometimes you have all the legal authority, no money you can do. So we have all these people set aside to do these things. Trust me, my brother. If the commissions in this country decide to be independent work, the fight against corruption you will solve that problem, not totally now, because only Jesus Christ will end corruption, but at least you will reasonably solve the issue of corruption.
To a minimal extent.
To a reasonable extent.
Yeah, to a reasonable extent. That's the better word. But we were just starting the conversation that way. We knew you came in studio.
Oh, we haven't started yet?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought we were warming up.
We're just warming up.
All right.
Yeah, we are aware that you brought a specific issue in studio today to talk about. So we just afford you a few time to just
basically the People's Action Network is concerned about this wave of ritualistic killing going across the country, especially against our females, our mothers, our sisters, our auntie, and it has drawn the attention of the People's Action Network. So she has got a position relative to what is going on in Liberia, and that there's a need that we step in and of course ensure that government does what she has to do as far as this issue of ritualistic killing is concerned. Let's get an overview as we move on from you, Mr. Executive Director of the panel.
Yeah, I think you follow the wave of ritualistic killings over the period, maybe more than I did or I'm doing, and we realized that several women have been killed by unknown men or unknown individuals, and the police has promised to work hard to make sure that the institution will grab some of those responsible for the killing of our people. We're very passionate about this issue because in Liberia we have a culture of our women working for the family. Most unemployed families today have the women either going in the market to sell, walking around to sell. So our women, this is now Afghanistan where we keep our women home. Our women are very important for the livelihood of the family. I grew up looking at my mom selling donut, on the Capitol bypass. So that donut pen was very important for how we go to tournament, how we pay our way, how we eat. So they are very important. If somebody will decide to declare war, I consider a war on the Liberian women. There was a body found on 17th Street. The police promised to investigate. The police is still investigating, waiting for results. And I learned that there were 1 or 2 other reports of ritualistic killing. A lady escaped and explained how they wanted to kill her, except for her period. There's several, reports of women under attack. I'm worried. I hope we don't have a serial killer. If you watch the crime and investigation, in America, they document crime. So you can have there's a good view of these things. You see that some serial killers have specialty. Some people decide I will kill women for their own frustration. Some people decide I will kill children, we are hoping that there's no serial killer in town targeting our women. But from the level of the People Action Network, all we can hope for, all we can pray is that the government should work hard to apprehend those involved in it. And when they are arrested, they should be tried in keeping with due process of law. If found guilty, we want to push the government for the execution. We want the government to execute any ritualistic killer.
That could be a stream.
Yeah, the government is in keeping with the law, and I will give you the appropriate citation on our penal code.
Okay.
We still have death penalty on the books. So when someone is caught and tried, giving all their due process right, and found guilty of killing the women, I think that crime is heinous, it's extreme, it's diabolical. Such person must now go to South Beach for the government for taxpayer to feed them. Such person must be executed in keeping with chapter 14, subchapter A section 14.1 of the Penal Code, and chapter 50, section 50.5a and 51.3 of the Penal Code of Liberia. We still have just cited specific provisions in the Liberian law that provides for death penalty. Death penalty is not cruel when a person to be kill somebody. If you don't value the life of the Liberian women, you should not live. So we want the government, the entire system, to work hard, including the ordinary people. If you have any idea on the killers of the women, if you saw anything suspicious, if you saw anybody in strange movement at that time of the night, if you notice any vehicle that you can identify, help the Liberia National Police. Some of the greatest problems that the police can solve can always be helped by ordinary people in the communities. So we want everybody to help the police to arrest these guys, or this guy, whoever the person is, try the person and execute them in keeping with Liberian laws.
Now, to your point, I understand you're trying to quote the penal law, which I don't necessarily doubt, but I want to believe that there are yet laws on our books that are obsolete and not applicable in our dispensation. Now, you calling for the execution of people who are involved with ritualistic killings.
Death penalty.
You're calling for death penalty right away. Now, are you also concerned that there may be human rights issues around such proposal that you are making, that as soon as the government starts to kill the first person, the second person, the third person, the human rights organizations in the world will start to question our government and our country for such act? Are you concerned about that?
There are international protocols and conventions against the death penalty.
Yeah.
But in Liberia, we have now ratified it.
But we have signed onto some of those international protocols.
When you sign the international protocol, then you domesticate it by ratifying the protocol, and then by also going further to amend your law to reflect the protocol that you sign. If you just go to Geneva and sign a paper, you come back, you don't ratify. Ratification is a process where the protocol is accepted and inculcated into the domestic legal application.
Which I agree.
It has not been done.
Affixing your signature internationally automatically invalidates your local law to a certain extent.
No, laws are not automatically repealed as somebody just press button. There's a process in repealing.
No, there are processes. But the actual intent is to say that we are affixing our signature to this international protocol.
We intend to follow this protocol.
Does invalidate.
That's why the foreign minister would do by signing, or somebody traveling by signing the protocol. You're saying Liberia's intention is to follow this protocol. But then there's a next step that when you come down, you ratify, you made a necessary amendment, something Liberia has not done. So the death penalty is still a part of the penal code. In fact, in 2000, in the year 2000, somebody was sentenced to death. As I speak to you, there are between 10 to 14 people on death row. A lot of people don't know how people on death row to solve this. Some people have been sentenced to death. They got people on death row, and the sentences have not been commuted. They have not been changed. So the fact that we got people on death row, and as recent as 2000, I think it was a 13th judicial circuit in Kakata or somewhere that sentenced somebody to death. So if you go about killing the Liberian women and you are collected, you are arrested, to put it in a legal form, and you are arraigned, you go through the justice system, all your rights are accorded consistent with the Constitution, due process of law. And if you are found guilty, the way to do is to apply the law. The defense could argue that Liberia signs one protocol somewhere in Geneva or somewhere in New York,
which would make sense.
But it would be a good argument. But if I'm a judge, I don't think you will win. I don't think you want me to go to Geneva to look for the law when the law right on the table. So until you can ratify the I think it's an international covenant on people's and political rights,
but
something like that.
It could have an impact on your relationship within the international cycle, and because it is not just about calling for those people to be sentenced to death automatically upon conviction, but it's about thinking through to understand the repercussions that may come in the aftermath of such decision.
The biggest players in the international community today are America and China. Many states in America still execute people even today. The state of Texas, if you kill somebody in Texas, they will kill you.
Yeah,
and there are many states in because you talk later for ejection. But the point is, you talk about international community that want to bring in America because that's the biggest fish there.
Sure.
You executing your killers, and you want to blame us for executing our killers. So I don't think we'll be in problem when we execute those people until the protocol on the prevention of death penalty can be ratified by our legislators and the penal code subsequently amended. Death penalty remains on the books in Liberia, and we should enforce it against people who will get involved in boyo activities in this country. When President Tobon did that thing one time and executed some people, boyo people, or at least for the record, they were boyo people or ritualistic killers. And all those people, the whole boyo business went down. Let me tell you something about ritualistic killers. Some of the guys, they are serial killers. Serial killers are people who just go about killing and for fun. The greatest deterrence got to be applied against those people because they are killing for fun. They think they're playing a football game. So if the man notice that they don't want to jail me, maybe after 10 years I will come on parole, or 20 years and I'll go, the man could still kill. But if you are aware that you will die when you kill, immediately, you know, because there are two punishments for the kind of killings: life imprisonment and death. Okay. So people who kill under other circumstances, maybe you can get a life in prison. People who kill for ritualistic purposes, intentionally, you know, purposely, knowingly, you know, take away sometimes for elections. When we go into election, these things sometimes happen.
They happen.
Other people want to get in office, and other people sometimes want to remain in office. There's a lot of drama about election. People go there, they start you from sheep. Sometimes the first thing they say, bring sheep, bring goat. Then they say, bring one human being.
In 2000.
So you, go ahead.
August 26, specifically 2008, the Liberian government, then on former President Johnson Sirleaf, signed on to a death penalty law that was enacted by the legislature. Of course, that particular piece of legislation was frowned against by the United Nations on grounds that it contravened some of the treaties, international treaties that we've acceded to. Now you're pushing that particular provision does not support your argument with respect to death penalty, as we are member of the international body.
Yeah, I just told you about the international communities that are countries involving the same death penalty stuff, and I just told you that many states in the great United States of America where people get killed when they kill people. I told you about China and many other countries. We are not talking about the bruise of it. We are talking about ritualistic killers here. So, mind you, I'm talking about people who will take somebody's mother, cut the breast, take all everything on there and kill. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. I'm not saying go kill somebody steal cell phone kill them. That's not what we're saying here. We're saying the ritualistic killers must be killed.
They are saying no.
In keeping with our law.
No, because if violence is treated that you see that too. So they are saying no.
No, you have to read the protocol further. They say no, and as some level of some area in the protocol, they say if you will hold to the death penalty, because they can impose on you, if you will hold to it, then it must be the result of a fair process proving that somebody was involved in killing somebody. They're emphasizing on this killing somebody, blood crimes, that's how they call it. So if you're involved in blood crimes, which has to do with killing people, then you can be executed if the country is still following that law. Yeah. However, if you sign a particular protocol against a death penalty, the next step is to come and ratify that protocol, and then you begin the amendment of the law. Liberia has not ratified the protocol. I'm talking about our laws here.
Yeah, but we've signed onto those protocols. Now, in any given case, what would you be praying for? To keep the laws intact as is, or you call for the rectification of the law?
I will be praying for the death penalty for ritualistic killers to be kept intact. Other crimes, you can go to life and you can do years and other things, but for people who kill people for ritualistic purposes,
I mean, why are you so strong and so rigid about
because we all grew up hearing that people do these things for power. That's why we've been hearing since we were kids, you know, that this kind of killing is different from somebody taking gun and shooting people. It's a kind of killing that people do for power. So if you think you must kill one woman so that you can be a big man, ride big cars, and, you know, have money, that's so unfair to that woman and her family, so unfair to society. In criminal law, there's a popular term called deterrence. I mean, we should know of.
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes you punish John Brown to deter other people in society who want to act like John Brown and deterrent me to discourage. Let me put deterrence maybe in a look for a synonym for it. To discourage other people from doing it. So the fact that John Brown was killed because of Boyo activity, let me move my hand for in the Boyo activity. But if you joke with John Brown who killed Mary, then you are providing an incentive for more people to go and kill women. And the Liberian women, they are special people, and politics aside, we have to make sure we protect them. They are not strong like us. For somebody to kill you, my man, that will not be small battle. They kill them, even run away.
An article from.
But to kill a woman, it may not be that difficult. So they're looking for the weaker people. That's why they're killing the women.
An article from the World Coalition on the 28th of July 2008 says Liberia illegally restored the death penalty by the legislature. Of course, the spokesperson of the legislature then, as a rare, hailed that particular decision from the lower house, and a civil society organization that you are part of, then headed by Denzel Brown, who is, I think, at the Independent Human Rights Commission, criticized that particular action of the legislature by quote-unquote illegally restoring the issue of death penalty. Today, you are in the same cycle of the civil society, now pushing for this very death penalty that was once criticized by the civil society bloc. How do we go about that?
The only forum to determine illegality of the actions of the lawmakers, that's the Supreme Court. If the lawmakers pass a law today, you can challenge that law at the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court can consider it, void. If if the law contravenes specific provision of the Constitution. Rufus Neufville cannot make the statute of the legislature illegal by his opinion. So Denzel Brown was only giving his opinion why he thinks the law. You can't say the legislative statute are illegal. You don't have that authority. It is only the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia that can invalidate the statute. And the Supreme Court has not done that to the law on the penal code, because the penal code is a statute from the legislature. The Supreme Court has not been tested before the court. Let me put it in that way. They have not been presented for review to the court, and the court has never said that the crime is inhuman and unreasonable. So it remains on the books. So if a lawyer gives an opinion on the legislative statute, I don't know why he will say it's illegal. He should say, he doesn't agree with it, but only the forum for making it illegal is the Honorable Supreme Court.
So now,
and the Supreme Court has not done that on the death penalty issue in Liberia.
Okay, so coming now to this point, what efforts have you applied to ensure that this is achieved?
No, we need enough publicity on the killing of these women. Mm-hmm. Somebody somewhere could know something.
I mean, you're so specific of a given gender. You're not concerned about the other gender. That's not being balanced in my mind.
Yeah.
Emphasize women, but women and men get killed perhaps on equal scale.
Yeah, I mean, we're also concerned about the men. I'm a man too. I don't want to be killed.
Yeah.
But we just emphasize.
I will be mentioning the circumstances on which she died. I'll be mentioning the head of the IAA. I'll be mentioning the guy who just went missing at the LRA and other people. Men, they are men.
I mean, all of them.
3 missing boys. That's in Moses.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah. All of them. Some of them are under other circumstances. Some of them are under circumstances of ritualistic killing. Saying brought the ritualistic killing about trying to emphasize it. Mm-hmm. But all deaths. Once you kill somebody, you are put through the process and you found guilty. I believe there should be death penalty. I believe death penalty on the boat in Liberia is justified. I don't want the lawmakers to repeat it. So let it remain there so that when you are called for ritualistic killing, we can send you to the same place you send the women and the other men and other people you're talking about.
So let's get to know some of the efforts you've applied.
We need massive publicity. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes these things. Most big cases are cracked sometimes by private citizens. Don't mind the police people running around. Sometimes the real information, somebody was looking through the window, they saw somebody carrying somebody, no policemen were around. So we need community-based approach towards identifying these killers. Okay. And we also need the police to be more robust. As we go towards election, we'll also be appealing to the lawmakers to even provide more support for the Liberian National Police. You need the police election time more than any other time in the governance system.
This is very important. Of course, too many people following and they will want to make their input, but let's zero in on this issue. Under the Criminal Procedure Law Revised, Part 3 talks about the disposition of offender. Chapter 31 talk about sentencing. Obviously, under that law, it talks about the limitation of form of sentencing. And let me verbatim read this particular portion so that you make your point. It says, no person convicted of a crime, infraction, or petty offense as those terms are defined in the penal code shall be sentenced otherwise than in accordance with the with the provision of this section, are you cognizant that even the law that you are referencing also had limitation with respect to what you pushing on?
There are two circumstances. There are mitigating circumstances and aggravating circumstances. Sometimes you kill somebody out of emotion, like when you open your bedroom door, you see somebody on your wife, you get angry, you take a gun, you shoot the man. You have killed somebody.
Insanity.
Yeah, but there are mitigating circumstances. Maybe you were mentally, unstable at the time. So when there are mitigating circumstances, that's what the Lord is saying. When there are mitigating circumstances, then they send you to jail for life. Sometimes. When there are aggravating circumstances, like bullying activities, then they should kill you. That's the two conditions. So in the sentencing phase, which will come after you guilty, the verdict, and all that thing, there's a special process, there's a special hearing to sentence you. The judge should look at mitigating circumstances and aggravating circumstances. In my opinion, boyo activities or ritualistic killing, what we call boyo in Liberia, it has extreme aggravating circumstances. So we're not talking about somebody going into a fight and mistakenly knock the man's neck. Sometimes you kill without, intending to kill.
Yeah.
Or maybe you throw a big stone down the hill and then hit a baby, the baby dies. You didn't expect the baby to be there. You have killed because that's recklessness. You will still go to jail for life. But there are mitigating circumstances. I didn't know the baby was there. My people are begging. I was throwing the rag away. But to collect somebody, put it in the car, trunk here, then cut the body parts, the aggravating circumstances. So in the sentencing phase, I'm sorry you didn't read the whole thing there, but I almost memorized the entire penal code. So I'm giving you the rest of it to you if you just read it. In the mitigating phase, these conditions will be considered.
I know that particular chapter 31 talking about sentencing. I know there are issues down the line, of course, that will corroborate with what you trying to say. It talks about honor 2. It talks about the capital offense that says the court shall sentence a person who has been convicted of a capital offense by death, hanging by death. Obviously, it talks about that.
Yeah.
But again, like what you talk about, it has a limitation, and that is the limitation. Is the human side of the law that I was trying to talk about.
Yeah, that's a human side. So if you have reason, if you kill, that's wrong, and we can send you to jail for life. If you kill, maybe with some mitigating factors.
So now
Boyo has aggravating factors.
I think it's important for us to play this live confession before we just go to the telephone lines.
Yes.
Dazi. I think it's very important. We're trying to get it right here. So it's on. Yeah. No, that's not it. No, that's not it. I think this should be the one. Oh yes.
Yes, and so as we move on, trying to get that particular recording, folks, we have the People's Action Network in studio. We're discussing this issue of ritualistic killing. Of course, it has been prevalent in our society for a period now. Maryland County reported saying to the point that you saw demonstration of our women there in that part of Liberia. The 72nd Boulevard, obviously a lady was found dead, 17th Street, and there has been this issue. Buchanan also reported saying, and so they believe that there's a need that the government steps in and of course try as much as possible to cut some of these issues that Liberia is faced with as we move on. Are we there now, Ben?
Okay, I got it.
Yes, and so we try to play this verse so that you listen to it.
I saw myself in an unfinished beating. They took a black rod from my face.
I gotta find a way to start this over. I gotta find a way to start it from the beginning. No, that's not.
On my way to where to go buy my market, I go on this bike. When we reached the Borough Junction, the bike was stopped. I said, well, why you stop? He said, they may stop it right to put the Academy Junction. So I said, no, I don't want anyone sitting behind me because they made it misbehave. And we the women on the bike. He said, I beg you, sister, let me ride with us. He sat down behind me. When we reached opposite to call auto factory, he took all the white handkerchief from his pocket and wiped my feet. The handkerchief, the last one that came from my mouth. What going on? When we passed to call, I went to myself again. They passed with me, they carried me as far as Coca-Cola factory. So when we reached from Coca-Cola factory, they were taking me for a bike to put me in a black Jeep with tinted windshield. When they put me in a black Jeep, they tapped my face with black cloth. They carried me, I don't know the road in and out. I saw myself in an unfinished beating. They took the black cloth from my face. I saw 5 other women there that they kidnapped too. Started carrying one in the slaughter room. Carry the first person in the year. People were coming for me. They taking all the other parts for me. was just there crying. They carried the fourth person out of the fifth. When they came, they carried me in the room, saw the other table. They had different instruments for human parts. They took my blast on me. They took all the trousers from on me. For them, my woman sickness was on me. But I had to say, but why y'all opening the table chicken here? The chicken looking at it. You know, we can use the chicken for sacrifice. So I put the chicken back also. I had to took me down from the table. They kept me back in the room. But the other woman too, the same thing with her. Her woman sickness was on her. I had to say, but the two chicken they're not correct. We can use it for sacrifice. So let's just keep them here in the net. We go dump them by the wayside. I had to tie our faces from 4 in the evening. That's a Tuesday. Tie our face with the same black cloth. We drove on the road back in the night. So I was in front of Coca-Cola factory. I had the other woman say me, I can't stay here for another one. So happy. She called her people and they told her home. Me I say I go into Zone 5 to carry a complaint. I asked the Bible to bring me to Zone 5. And the Bible carried me to Zone 5. Started asking for money. I said, Papa, I just from here. Or just save me from here. So I don't have money on me. Please help me. When that time we were talking, the other police officer came in. He said, what happened? What going on here? I had to explain to the officer.
The crux of the matter is that
I'm getting emotional already.
Yeah.
Just by the recording.
Yeah. You listen to that, Mr.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting emotional too. You know, we need to work hard to solve this problem. I don't know how to approach, but maybe you can. Say something on it. I don't know.
I don't know what to say. Let's
just go to the line. 0778.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Of course, we have the People's Action Network in studio, and we're talking about this wave of ritualistic killing that is ongoing. She has made a position, definitive position, that look, if you are found guilty through the process, through due process, the law should be applied to it full extent without fear and favor. That will send out deterrence. And you just listen to the lady. Only by grace she was saved. Let's get your interaction. Let's move to line 2 and talk to this person. Good morning.
Good morning, Emmanuel. Yeah, good morning to Bank. You know, I want to appreciate this is Peter Gula talking from 7th Street. I want to appreciate you for the discussion this morning, but how can we fight the kind of crime when people are accusing the society and no investigation? How can we fight the kind of crime? I just want to ask the common lawmaker.
Okay, he taking that note and he will answer that. Let's get Noah Zhao Gibson.
Hello.
Good morning, Noah.
Yes, why it's true I'm not well, but I'm constrained to call having listened to that interview.
Speedy recording.
And I think I will not say I'm serving as spokesman for Mr. Neufville. He's knowledgeable of the issue and very experienced. But I just want to buttress him with respect to that caller's question, the first caller. This is not about how can we see to it that it is done when those who are in authority don't want to do something. What Mr. Neufville is telling you, we can join the action. We must come up with action that will compel them to do it. And I think I signed with Mr. Neufville 100%. You know, the thing is, President Trump did this before. You listen to the story of Ali Yancey and others.
Oh, yes.
They were executed for this thing Boyo Act. So if it happened before, we can bring it back. That's why Mr. Neufville is saying, and I agree with Mr. Neufville. Why people should sacrifice somebody that God took time and making your own image and likeness for their own self-aggrandizement, because you want to get rich, you want power, so you must take people's life, you must take family hair from over them, and so painfully. Why should this happen? So I think Mr. Rufus Neufville is making no sense. Nobody should see this, that he's making this point because he wants to be popular. It's not about popularity. I think we all should join. If it's not happening to you, you will not know how painful it is. So I agree with you, Mr. Neufville, 100%. Because that should be the way forward for such people. Thank you.
Thank you, Noah. Let's get this person. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, my name is Emmanuel. I'm joining from the Finger.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my brother, good thing is going on with them. I will tell you for sure. There was a similar thing that was happening in Egypt, December of 2018. And the people they were angry on the president that was in a 3-day term. And what happened in Liberia, the people who were looking at it didn't happen in more than 3 years now. It didn't happen in government setting, they don't take any action. And they have people in government that doing these things. It happened to the 3 mason boys of the land, government state doing the business with the military. They are not taking that case serious, so one want to take the fight. People in government let this one and he explain it. on the interview on Sky.
Okay.
So they said you people can look talk to the government and start the solution for it. The government is the problem. They are the ones who will take the initiative this way. In the people.
Oh, you dropped off the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me say good morning to the studio guy as well. This is Mohammed Sadar, the recorded from Bombay County, Swanmaker District. This morning. Yeah, just quickly, I listened to the studio guy spoke well. My friend and brother, you know, even you listen to anybody who started the radio this morning and listen to the revelation from that lady, it tells you that the argument the former lawmaker is bringing on the table, it is important because look at what the lady said, 5 persons, she was the 4th. Can you imagine? So what happens to those people who are killing, people continuously in a phone manner? Somebody is caught in the process and getting all of the due processes and before guilty, you say they should go to jail for lifetime. At time maybe they put them arrested. I say no. I think the argument the former lawmaker is bringing on the table is important. Those people should be killed when they have been given due process. When they found guilty, they should be killed as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dukley, for making your point this morning. This program shortly will go back to our guest, and of course, he's going to answer to some of the questions and wrap up. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. My name is Charlie B. Boudia Yamford, and I'm from District 14 in
Go ahead, Chief, quickly.
Yeah, thank you. You see the issue of the racial, my brother. I heard you saying, the government needs to do something. It's very difficult for the government to do something because these are very people who have their hand in the system. I think you listen to the lead audio from Ellen Coco, and that was Serena Simpson. She told you, and she listed some government official who were recommending her to do human sacrifice.
Which does not make it true. Which does not make it true.
Which does not make it true.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that because Ellen Cochran said it does not mean that she was saying the truth.
Oh, okay, but then you just play a recording.
No, this is a live confession from somebody as opposed to a plain recording done by Ellen Cochran.
I agree. I'm saying to you, what we're talking about is ritualistic killing, people getting messy, and all that thing. Then the lady come with that testimony or experience. It's just validate what Ellen Cochran said. So it's official too.
All right, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Let's get this last person and go back to our guest. Good morning, Nat Johnson.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Uber. How you doing?
Uber is not here.
Doing?
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Uber, how you doing?
Hello, I'm okay. Thank you.
This is a very good push you are pushing, but how do you arrest those kind of people that involved in a kind of ritualistic killing in our country? You can see the people. They can be done with their work and how our children are extracted. They go we see the interference. How do we arrest them before we carry them to investigation? It's tedious for us.
Okay.
It's very tedious. The recent one that terrorists get given, we know their whereabouts.
Okay.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, Johnson. Marjorie, very quickly, no time. Morning,
Josephine.
Yeah, no time, quickly.
Yeah, no time. But what I want to say, yeah, we already know who doing the killing in the Liberia. More especially when you come.
The police could come for you, the NSA could come for you to show the people that do it.
But they see already on the radio, and I'm the one tell the people to
know. No, but just say you already know.
I think we already know who doing the budget killing in the town, yeah. Because when they kill the women, it's not correct. Women born men. Now we the women are born in the children. And then now we go to eat. Some of the people, you know what you can eat or you won't eat. It's not easy to preacher on the earth. Then you stand around. People, young children. Then you're doing confession on radio that you're the man. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Let's go back to our guest. Mr. Neufville, you listen to the chorus. And you can use that as a practical.
Yes, I want to introduce this thing, further elaborate on this thing about community policing. Community policing, where the people themselves will help the authority to identify, criminals in their midst. I think we should be more active in the communities, because if we sit and just say we look at police or we look at the army or we look at somebody else, bad things may happen behind them. We need to get involved, and make sure that we help the police, and the police too will have to work 24 hours around the clock to make sure that these people are arrested, because these things sometimes have bad implication on the image of society, on government, on all of us. So we have to do our best, and when these people are arrested, as a matter of closing, they should be tried in keeping with due process of law, and if found guilty, we are advancing to the government of Liberia that they should be executed in keeping with chapter 14, subchapter A, section 14.1 of the Penal Code, chapter 50, section 50.5A and 51.3. The Liberian laws are clear. We have provision for the death penalty. Apply it against ritualistic killers. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Rufus Neufville. Well, we'd like to say thanks to our many callers and our online viewers. Well, from my end, I will say goodbye. That's it. I don't think we have much to say.
We have to call it a day on this program this morning. Tomorrow, God's willing, we'll be back with another edition of the program. Let's Talk Liberia. It's goodbye from our end.
I wanna you can hear me say, Papa. I wanna you can hear me say. All get things we wanna say inside this land. So people must die for before you understand.